Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the stories shaping our world, giving you the insights you need. So imagine this: a remote accident, maybe a huge storm, or some kind of security threat. When things get critical, what do first responders absolutely need?
Communication, reliable communication, it's everything.
Exactly. The ability to coordinate, share info fast, make decisions. And that's our topic today. Norway's massive plan to replace its emergency network, Nødnett. It's getting old. And this replacement isn't just an upgrade. It's one of the biggest investments the country's making in its own safety. And it's causing quite a debate.
A really fascinating one.
We're looking at the big telecom players, Telenor, Tele, Telia, Norge, and they all have pretty different ideas about how this new network should work. It touches on really fundamental stuff: national security, how we respond to emergencies. So what are these different philosophies, and what's really at stake here for Norway's future?
Well, what's really interesting is that it's not just about swapping out old tech for new. It's a strategic choice. It's going to shape how prepared Norway is for, well, decades. And it affects everyone, right? From the police and fire services on the ground to, ordinary people caught in a crisis. We're basically looking at fundamentally different ways to make sure communication works when it absolutely has to.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit more. The current Nødnett, it's just not up to snuff anymore, technologically speaking.
Right.
The plan is for the new system to use 5G. And that opens up a whole world of possibilities, stuff we can't really do now.
Like real-time video from an incident scene.
Exactly. Secure video, sharing data seamlessly between different emergency teams, truly reliable communication designed for critical missions, things that are pretty central these days. And one big decision's already been made. The government, the state, will own the actual technical platform, the special tools the users need.
Right, the specialized apps and services.
Yeah. But the commercial mobile operators, they'll be the ones providing the network coverage, the actual signal, and the core network infrastructure.
So just to make that super clear for you listening, the technical platform is like the custom software toolkit for first responders, secure chat, video feeds, that kind of thing. And the network coverage and core, that's the physical stuff, the towers, the fiber cables, the data centers that carry all the information. Think of it like the highways the data travels on.
Gotcha.
And this is a huge deal for Norway, a massive investment. The timeline is ambitious, too. They want users moved over by 2030.
Oh, that's soon.
Or 2031 for everything to be fully running smoothly, according to the Justice and Emergency Department. It really underlines that, crises don't wait. And just to give you a sense of the scale, the 2024 budget already put aside 40 million krone just to get this future Nødnett project going. Shows the urgency, right? And the money behind it.
Absolutely. So with stakes this high, let's dive into the first big proposal. This comes from Telenor. Their CEO, Birgit Ingebretsen, and their corporate affairs lead, Regihild Madsen, they're pushing one main idea.
Which is?
That one single mobile operator should have the main responsibility for the whole Nødnett. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that one company builds every single tower. It's more about having one entity responsible for the whole thing, end to end.
Okay. So one point of contact, one entity in charge of quality and control.
Exactly. Even if they end up using parts of other companies' radio networks to get full coverage. It's about clear accountability, a unified approach.
Okay. And Telenor's thinking behind this one operator model, what's the main driver? It's mainly about keeping things simple, or simpler, and making sure accountability is crystal clear. They actually use that phrase, the one throat to choke philosophy.
Right, I've heard that, like with FirstNet in the US.
Precisely. That's a key example they point to. The idea is, look, if something goes wrong during an emergency, there's zero confusion about who needs to fix it. Now, that kind of clarity is vital when lives are on the line. And Telenor insists this isn't some radical new idea. It's based on proven, standardized solutions.
Which other countries are using this model?
They mentioned Finland, Korea, the US, the UK, France, places that have already gone down this path. Telenor says learning from these international experiences cuts down risks, helps control costs, and avoids delays for Norway.
Okay, so the argument is, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's use what's worked elsewhere, keep responsibility clear, keep it straightforward. Makes sense on the surface. But is there more to Telenor's plan?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Beyond just the one operator thing, they have other suggestions, like setting up a dedicated test arena.
A test arena, like a sandbox.
Kind of. A place to develop and test things out, learn what works before rolling it out nationwide. They point to how the Norwegian Armed Forces work with mobile operators as a good model for this. Less risk that way.
Makes sense.
They also talk about making sure the state has enough control, maybe by having this main operator also manage that state-owned technical platform we talked about.
Ah,
And importantly, they say the way the contracts are set up, the procurement process needs to be designed to encourage competition and stop vendor lock-in.
right. So you don't get stuck with one supplier forever.
Exactly, maybe through how long the contracts last. Basically, Telenor is framing their whole proposal around being user-friendly, robust, secure, and hitting those government priorities: cost, time, and quality.
That's a very clear case for a unified system based on experience. But as you mentioned, it's not the only view. Lise Telly has a very different take, calling Telenor's advice, what was it?
Dangerous.
Right, dangerous. So how are they countering this one operator idea?
Well, Lise Tella, through Rainier Johannesson and also working with ICE, they are firmly arguing for the opposite. They want all three mobile networks, Telenor, Lysice, and Telia, to be involved. Their core belief is that using all three is the only way to guarantee maximum security and robustness for Nødnett.
Okay, dangerous is a strong word. So what's the specific danger Lise sees in the one operator model? What risks are they focused on?
It really comes down to redundancy and spreading the risk. Lise argues that security isn't just about having the tech, it's about how you set it up to handle failures.
Okay.
Their main point is involve all three operators, use all their infrastructure, and you build in multiple layers of backup. You spread the risk, you avoid having one single point of failure that could take down the whole system in a crisis. And they have a really potent example to back this up: Ukraine.
Yes. What happened there?
They point to the massive cyber attack on Kyivstar, which used to be owned by Telenor, actually. It's Ukraine's biggest mobile operator. The network was down for days.
Wow.
But Lise highlights the Ukrainian military could still operate because they had access to multiple networks. They could switch. That ability to use different infrastructure really limited the damage.
That's a powerful case study.
It really is a stark warning about putting all your critical communications eggs in one basket. So Lise suggests that DSB, that's the Directorate for Civil Protection and Emergency Planning, or maybe an operator working for DSB, should manage the specialized mission-critical services.
Okay, MCX solutions.
Right, the MCX, the voice, data, video for first responders, and manage it in collaboration with all the mobile operators. Maybe even bring in satellite providers too. This way, the Nødnett could basically use any available signal anywhere in the country, grabbing the best coverage from whichever network is strongest or still working. Ultimate resilience, leveraging everything. They also hammer the point about avoiding vendor lock-in and keeping network diversity high.
That makes a lot of sense, shifting from centralized control to distributed resilience. And Telia and Norge, they're kind of in the same camp, right? Also disagreeing strongly with Telenor.
Absolutely. Henning Lunde from Telia Norge doesn't mince words either. He calls Telenor's idea a Nødmonopol, an emergency monopoly.
Emergency monopoly.
Yeah. And he argues that creating such a monopoly would, and I quote, rapidly undermine the intentions of a modern Nødnett. He thinks it would actually lead to less robustness and security for Norway. Telia feels that for a system this critical, a single point of failure is just not an option.
Okay, so Telenor wants one operator, Lise wants all three networks involved. What's Telia's specific solution then? How does it work? And how does it directly counter Telenor?
Telia's proposal is very specific. All qualified mobile core networks. So Telenor's, Lysice's, and Telia's own core networks should be integrated into the Nødnett platform, and importantly, on an equal footing.
Okay, the core networks. What's the benefit of integrating all the cores?
Their rationale is simple but powerful, especially in a crisis. If one operator's core network goes down, maybe due to an attack or technical failure or whatever emergency users wouldn't lose contact, they'd still have access to potentially two other functioning core networks. That built-in redundancy is crucial, they argue, to make sure first responders can always communicate.
So they're directly challenging Telenor's claim that the single operator model is proven best practice.
Directly. They point to the UK, actually, saying there were negative experiences there because of relying on just one provider. Significant problems arose, and they push back hard against the idea that their multi-core approach is untested. They highlight their own innovation projects, pilots they've done with the Norwegian Armed Forces and rescue services, showing it is feasible.
What about Telenor's argument that their model gives them a market advantage?
Telia leans into that. They argue Telenor's proposal would create an enormous market advantage for whoever gets chosen, potentially harming competition and causing, again their words, irreparable damage to society.
Wow.
They also disagree that a multi-core system means more complexity or fragmentation of responsibility. Telia says each operator is still clearly responsible for their own core network's performance and security. And finally, Telia argues that using everyone's infrastructure makes it easier to build backup communication routes, keeps competition healthy, and actually drives innovation that helps all mobile users in Norway, not just the emergency services.
Right. This is really where the philosophical clash comes into sharp relief.
Yeah.
You've got Telenor saying, stick with the standards, keep it unified, efficient, accountable.
Yeah.
And then Lise and Telia saying, no, we need maximum redundancy, use everything we have, innovate for resilience, even if it's a bit different. So how does this play out when they talk about global standards versus, say, a unique Norwegian solution?
That's precisely the heart of it, isn't it? Standardization versus tailored innovation. Telenor, through Ragnhild Matheson, really hammers this point. She argues that Telia's idea integrating 3 core networks like that simply isn't standardized by 3GPP.
And 3GPP is the body that sets the global mobile standards.
Exactly. They define the technical rules for mobile networks, including how emergency services should work on commercial networks. Telenor says going against these standards means creating a unique Norwegian setup, a særnorsk løsning. And that, they argue, inevitably leads to extra complexity, guaranteed delays in getting it built, higher costs, and just more risk all around, both in building it and maintaining it long term.
So stick to the plan, stick to the budget.
Pretty much. They keep circling back to the government's priorities: cost, time, quality. And they say the way to meet those is to pick a proven, cost-effective model, not go off on some, potentially expensive tangent.
But Lise and Telia see that differently.
Completely. They basically see Telenor's focus on standards as being defensive, maybe even resistant to innovation. They argue there's real value in pushing the boundaries, using all the infrastructure Norway already has. For them, it's bigger than just Nødnett. It's about boosting overall technological development in the country, building a system that's way more robust for everyone.
And the Ukraine example plays into that resilience argument.
Absolutely. They argue that the potential payoff, significantly better resilience when disaster strikes, is worth the risk of taking a less common, more innovative path. So it really forces this fundamental question: how do you balance wanting something fast, affordable, based on models that work elsewhere,
with the absolute need for maximum possible resilience and security, especially now with climate change, cyber threats, all of that increasing?
Exactly. It's a choice between proven efficiency and potentially cutting-edge resilience. There's no easy answer.
Okay, let's pause there and connect this back, because you might be listening and thinking, okay, emergency networks in Norway. Sounds technical. Why is this a big deal for me? Well, here's why it's incredibly relevant. The decisions being debated right now. They will directly impact how quickly and effectively help arrives if you or your family or your community ever need it.
Yeah, it's that fundamental.
Think about a wildfire threatening your area, or a serious car crash on a highway, or, heaven forbid, some kind of security alert. In those moments, this is about whether a paramedic can send live video of a patient's injuries to the hospital ahead of time. It's about firefighters coordinating inside a burning building without losing signal. It's making sure critical data, secure voice calls, location tracking, all of it works perfectly, without fail, every single time. This isn't just abstract tech talk. It's about the actual lifeline that holds things together when society's under stress.
That robustness could literally be the difference. And if you zoom out even further, this whole debate really shows how these huge national infrastructure projects are never just about the wires and software. They're about managing risk on a national scale. They're about massive economic decisions. And ultimately, they're about national security, especially, as you said, in a world dealing with more extreme weather and more sophisticated digital threats. It really underlines why critical thinking is so important, questioning the arguments, looking at different sides, even when experts are presenting them, because the ripple effects for everyone are just so huge.
So wrapping this up, we've seen why Norway needs a new Nødnett urgently. And we've heard these really different philosophies from Telenor, Lise Telia, and Telia Norge. On one side, you have Telenor arguing for clear, single responsibility, using proven international standards to be efficient and keep costs down.
The established path.
Right. And on the other side, you have Lise and Telia pushing for maximum redundancy, spreading the risk across all the networks we have, prioritizing resilience and competition, even if that means innovating a solution that isn't the global norm yet.
The potentially more robust, but maybe more complex path.
Exactly.
And that leaves us and you with a really critical question to think about. When you're building something this vital, this national lifeline, what should be the top priority? Is it better to stick to a proven, standardized approach to get it done faster and control costs? Or should you embrace a more innovative, perhaps uniquely Norwegian multi-network strategy to achieve potentially unmatched robustness, even if it comes with more complexity and unknowns at the start? Which path do you think ultimately provides the best safety net for Norway's future? Or for any country facing these kinds of decisions? It's something worth mulling over.
A lot to think about indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a decision that will truly shape emergency response in Norway for years to come. We hope it's given you a clearer picture of the complex choices involved.